And good morning, everybody. This is Grant from Stay the Spark. Sometimes I get concerned I start too high level. So let's tone that down a little bit. We've got an awesome show for you this morning. We've got Brittany here co-hosting with me for the first time. We'll bring her on a quick second. We've got Rut Patel to talk about Voyager Industries, AI, drones, nerd alert. If you like those sorts of things, I certainly do. But what I really like about Rut is his awesome story of coming to America. So we're going to hear a little bit about that. But as you know, Stay the Spark is about igniting lives of explosive significance. So we're actually going to hear about what ignites Rut. So let me bring Brittany on real quick. Boom. This is the lovely Brittany Whelchel. How you doing this morning?
Great. Good morning. So excited to be here.
Yeah, man. And for those who are watching this, what'd you say?
I was going to say I've been on the Spark Show every morning, and now I finally get to be here live. Super excited.
We get to see your face. Normally, we just chat. Normally, we share chats.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know or are watching this later in the day, Brittany and I actually, aside from Marissa, Brittany and I have had one of the longest relationships of any of the Spark people. We ran into each other downtown Fresco's when she was pushing Bethany around in her little cart, not pushing her around, but strolling her around. And we had coffee one day at Fresco's. And since then, she's gotten married. We partner on Spark My Books. We partner on State of the Spark. And it's just been an awesome, awesome friendship. And we got good mojo. And we were both interested in kind of grilling Rut a little bit and learning more about that. So let's go ahead and bring Rut on and hear more about, boom, Rut Patel. How you doing, man?
Hello. I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for being here this morning, man. How's your day going?
It's going very good. Early at the catapult. It's going very good.
Now, for those who are popping in, yeah, welcome. Now, can you guys see the numbers in the corner? Do you see the viewership? So on mine, and I've realized this, it goes up, goes down, bops around, but for others, there's a little bit of a delay. So we're watching, about 4 people are watching you guys live right now. So for those watching, we're going to actually stick to our routine and start the morning with a cup of gratitude. So Brittany's got her mug, and we'll have to get Rut one as well. So as the guest of honor, Rut, what are you grateful for this morning, sir?
I'm very grateful for the people, all the people in my life. Yes.
Really? Who comes to mind right away that's just I'm grateful for this person? I know there's a lot, and we could go on, but who comes to mind immediately?
My mom.
Oh, yeah.
I'm grateful for her, and I'm just grateful for all the people, especially in Lakeland. Since I moved here, they've been very, very helpful. And so I'm very grateful for Lakeland people. Yes.
Yeah, I saw you golfing with David Young, another peer in the drone world. I was skimming your show. Chris San and Nate Kendrick, they had a great interview and but also the behind the scenes support you've been getting is huge.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it. I love the community. Yes.
Brittany. I'm curious, Rut. How long have you been in Lakeland? I moved here when I was 12, so I'm a Lakelander down to my core. How long have you been here?
I moved to here when I turned 19. So it was in 2015. So 6 years now.
Okay.
2015. Brittany, what are you grateful for this morning?
I am grateful this morning. The first thing that came to my mind when I opened my eyes was the Kentucky Derby party that I went to on Saturday to support Campfire.
Yeah.
It fed my soul in such a huge way. I mean, the event did not happen last year because of COVID. Yeah. And they had to cap off attendance this year. Just, trying to, on a gradient scale, get back into having events.
Yeah.
But it sold out, and we raised over $100,000 for Campfire, and I was so grateful to just be a part of that and be back and having that sense of community again that I've been missing.
Yeah. Now, for those who are not from the area, what is Campfire?
Oh, yes. So Campfire, it's so interesting because their mission is to spark that drive and that goal and that purpose inside of youth. So it's right on their headline that they want to spark that inside of the youth generation.
Yeah,
so
man.
we do everything, teen programs down to preschoolers, making sure that they are have community to be a part of. And
Okay, very cool. Well, I'll tell you, I'm grateful for a lot this morning. Are you still going? Oh no, there was a delay on that screen. Sorry, Brittany. I looked at another screen on the Facebook screen. It looked like you were still talking. I was like, no, I'll tell you, there's a lot I'm grateful for this morning. Marissa and I, we're working on an investment property this weekend, and the hard physical labor. I do so much of this and so much computer work that the hard physical labor of hanging, like I used to when I was a kid, and my dad had summer jobs for me to, work on construction projects. We would take side gigs and help build outs and stuff. And like, I actually really know a lot of that stuff, but
that's
like
impressive.
Yeah, but people don't know that. People are like, Grant's Mr. Talker, Grant's Mr. Studier. And so we did a lot of that. And it was really good. And it's fun to watch this Airbnb come together, and we're going to be renting it. We met a lot of the community members, but that's not what I'm apex grateful for. We came home yesterday, and Marissa went out with her girlfriends, and she never does this. She was out till 11. And I was out like a light. And I woke up this morning, and on the mirror, I just see this sign, I love you. She just wrote, I love you on the bathroom mirror. And that is what I'm grateful for this morning. Just that little nudge, man. Love is awesome. So guys, here's to cup of gratitude and being together. Let's dive into this with Rut. Now, Brittany, I'm sure you have some questions for Rut. I got a ton of questions for Rut. But before that, why are we interviewing Rut Patel? I wanted to bring Rut on, and somehow this dude, who is not nearly as extroverted as some of the people I know, is impressive. And the main reason, for those who don't know, Rut is the founder of Voyager Industries, and they help energy companies save money and increase employee safety, and is one of the nation's fastest growing, if I could use some creative embellishment there, one of the nation's fastest growing engineering consulting firms using drones and proprietary AI innovations to really help people. And coming out of Lakeland, he's like a one-man operation, but like he's been all over the country. He's taken long contracts way out in Morro Bay, I believe California, Chicago. Like, you're starting to get these huge contracts, mostly in the energy space. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And so it's impressive. But where Rut came from, moved over here from India, as he said, roughly around the age of 19, and neither he nor his family spoke English. And I'm sure it gets old, maybe not. I assume it might get old to hear the immigrant story, but it's impressive. Yeah. And so I do want to touch on that a little bit. And that's why we've got Rut here today. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Grateful to be here.
Yeah, man. So, okay, these people have pounded this. You moved here in 19. Was this the place you landed directly from India, or did you land somewhere else first?
First city we visited was Lakeland. Yeah, we landed in Tampa. My uncle picked us up, and we stayed at his house for a few months, and then decided to move.
Really? And how did you how did you find Lakeland?
Lakeland. So my uncle's been here for 20 years. And,
in Lakeland?
Yes. So he's the one actually, 26 years now. He's the one actually who applied for visa to come for me and my parents to come here. So we waited 18 years to come here. And
18?
18, yes. So when I was 1, that's when they applied for a visa. And when I turned 19, that's when I got the visa approved. So, yes.
Man, so people don't know this. I was an immigrant for a minute. I moved to the Dominican Republic, and for all I knew, I was there for life. And I was reflecting on your story and reflecting on my time in the Dominican Republic. And I even went there speaking decent Spanish. And to this day, I could step into a Spanish environment and get by. But my soul was crushed on feeling connection. And it beat me up hard. Like I could order food. I could find the bathroom. Like, I knew enough Spanish to do that. But feeling connected was nearly impossible. How long did it take you before you started feeling like you had good connection with people?
Since day one.
Get
Since
out
day
of
one.
here.
Since day one. Because my first job, I land here on 7th April, and my first day at job is on 10th April. So before
What?
before my jet lag was over, I had a job, and I show up to Dairy Queen. My first job was at Dairy Queen in Bartow, and I show up to this job not knowing English, and there was this girl, Alexis, and she was the only employee there at that time, and my boss didn't show up there that time, so I had to like first introduce myself, and I didn't know how to do that, so it was very awkward trying to explain that I'm the employee that's starting today, and
instead of just a random guy walking behind the counter who doesn't speak.
Yes, because I came there a night before, so I knew how to get in there, and they showed me be here this time, but they didn't know.
Man, when I moved to another country, I did not have that hustle. I was like, I'm going to write a book. And so I sat on the beach and wrote a book, and I went into this depression, and I was supposed to get a job, but you just got it the next day. Holy cow, man. And so tell the story real quick about the first time you and your family tried to order and you had to write it down.
Yeah, so we were new in America. Me and my parents, we all moved here in April 7, 2015, and we didn't grow up around English or anything. We knew basic words, but we didn't know how to like speak or even start a conversation or say anything. And it was hard to even order food. So we didn't go to like any restaurant for like 3-4 months because we didn't know how to order food. And even though I was started working at Dairy Queen, I was I was doing the other stuff like cleaning, making ice cream, not communicating.
Yeah.
So it took us like 3-4 months. I had to write it down. You know, when you are here, you have to come up with solutions. So if I had to write it down, I had to write it down.
Well, I learned quickly that same lesson, that if you're going to be in another culture, it's the biggest fear to be taken advantage of. First off, like you're like, I don't know why, but it comes up in you that you're going to be taken advantage of. And you go into this like defense mechanism. But I told Marissa, like, whenever I go to a new place, I need to order a meal, buy gas, and use the public bathroom. And if you can start getting through those things as rehearsal, there was a grocery store called the Playero, and we would force ourselves to go into the Playero and order, and like, no, you have, and it was so draining.
Yes.
To translate, it was draining, but good on you. And so in short time, I did hear a snippet from your interview with Chris Ann on Elevated Polk, that podcast, about the moment you decided to quit and start your business. What prompted that?
Well, that time when I was working at Dairy Queen, it's been already 2 years. I did jobs for 2 years when I was new in America. And so at that time, right before I started my business, I was working at Dairy Queen, and I was working at McKesson Pharmacy warehouse. So in the morning, I would work at Dairy Queen. At night, I would do the warehouse job where we have to like work on a conveyor belt, pick up stuff, and just cut boxes, just all labor work. So I'm driving home from that job, like 4 a.m. home. I'm coming home, and after 16-hour day, just super tired, ready to go home, go to sleep, because I have to be at Dairy Queen at 10 a.m. early.
What?
So, yes, and I was coming home, and I heard this story on a podcast, because that time I was still learning English, and I was listening to podcasts and music and anything I can get my hands on to learn English. So I heard the story of Captain Cortez, and how he went to Aztec to conquer the treasure, and he went there with 500 men. And when they were on the way there, they somehow they got the message that other armies massive that they cannot fight, and their men started to get scared and telling Cortez that we might turn around, but he didn't listen. They went on the shore, and as soon as they got on the shore, Cortez burned all the ships, and he told his men, if you're going home, be going home in their ship, not our ship.
Oh,
So
wow.
basically the story was no plan B, and that hit me. And I'm like, okay, I always wanted to start a business before I came to America. I'm very good with technology.
Yep.
So what am I waiting on? Like, if I continuously doing, it's been 2 years already, it's time to quit. So next morning I went to my boss and just told them I about to start a business and I'm quitting.
Now,
go ahead, Brittney. Yeah. What was driving the passion route to work 2 jobs? Like, where was that? Like two jobs and 4 hours of sleep a night. Like, where is that coming from?
Well, when I came to America, that's how I knew that you go to America and you work very hard and save a lot of money and start a business. That was kind of like the plan before I even came here. So that's why I'm like, I want to get as soon as possible, because I don't know why I'm in such a hurry. I always that's why I'm like, okay, instead of dragging this house for 4 or 5 years, 2 years exactly. So I started my job on 10th April and I stopped working at 10th April, exactly 2 years, because that was the plan. And so now, just starting a business, hurry.
Yeah. Now, to that point, I heard Elon Musk say at one point or another, you know, what if your 5-year goal was a 6-month goal? And I think Brittney, I'm pretty sure you know Parkinsons Law. Rut, are you familiar with Parkinsons Law?
No.
Work expands to fill the time you give it.
Yeah.
So if you tell yourself that the project's going to take 5 years, it'll take you 5 years. And so you had that working in your favor. It sounded like I'm just going to do this now. Now, you knew drones before you came over here?
Yes.
Yeah. Were you doing it? And you were doing it in college or something like that, right?
Yeah. So I went to college for a year. I didn't finish college. I was in mechanical engineering, but I have always been super excited and interested about technology. And since I was a kid, I was opening up stuff, trying to see how I can make it work better, or trying to make it fly. I love things that flew since I was a kid. I love birds. I love planes, helicopters since I was a kid. So I'm like, I always wanted to do something with the things that flew. So when I came, when I went to college in India for first year, I made a drone and I was selected in India's top 40 for innovation of that drone. And
really,
right after that, I got to come. Yes, and right after that, I got to come to America. But when I came here, didn't have any money or anything like that. That's why. So maybe that was a reason I was working too hard to start as quickly as possible.
I love that.
Because I knew that there is no way I came to America to work at Dairy Queen. There was no way. There was no doubt in my mind that I knew this is only temporary. And that's why I was working 2 jobs so I can get out of it as soon as possible.
Now, this principle of burning bridges, and Brittney, I'll actually direct this to you in a second. Rut, this principle of burning the ships. Have you used that principle again since you started Voyager?
Yes, I do every day. That's why.
Really?
I don't have any other plan B. This is all. Voyager is my plan A, and there is no way turn around.
Now, Brittney, has there been a significant moment when you consciously cut ties or burnt the ships and just went all in that you can recall?
I mean, I've had a few of them, I think, in my life that have been pretty significant.
Yeah.
You know, I've had friendships that I held on to very strongly that weren't serving me well, you know, then I had to, you know, go a different direction. You know, I was doing very well right out of college. I graduated college in high school. Right out of college, went straight into the insurance industry, and I was really good at it. I was good at doing the sales. I was good at closing business. I was good at making money. But I had, I woke up every day and I had to drive about 2 hours from Claremont to Tampa to get to work every morning, and I had to be there by 7 a.m. So those were some pretty early mornings. And on the drive there, I would remember like gripping my steering wheel so hard and just sweating, just because I didn't want to go. It wasn't what I was passionate about. I didn't believe in all of the products I was selling. And so I had this like spiritual and, this conviction and moral conviction on showing up to work every day. So talk about burning bridges. One day on I-4, I just got off the highway, turned around, went to Lakeland, and showed up at Kelly Staffing and said, I need a different job.
Yeah, look at Rut getting pumped.
I was like, I don't care what it is. I ended up working in a factory.
Yeah.
Doing mindless work, just punching there. I had a numbers goal, and all my entire goal that day was to exceed that number so much that I was noticed, because that was the only thing I could excel at.
Yeah, I like that, man. Now, Rut, I've been wanting to ask you this question. What is the top lesson you learned from your father?
What is dress sharp and wake up?
You learned that from your dad. Dress sharp. Yeah. That's where that comes from.
Yeah.
No, does he dress sharp too?
He doesn't wear suits, but he wears way better clothes. Not better, but professional clothes than his peers and coworkers. And that's what I saw since I was a kid. And,
really?
Yeah, and very hardworking. My father is very hardworking, so that's what I learned from him.
So I have noticed this about people in other countries, in India too, as well as Haiti. So I visited Chennai in 2005, and I noticed that, I mean, how India is, like it's gorgeous in one area and then really not in another, like right next to it. But everyone has a sense of self-respect. And they will clean their stuff and make sure that they go out in their finest every chance they get. And Haiti is very similar. They might not have a lot in Haiti, but they will always make sure that when they do go out, they are putting on their best, no matter what. That's really interesting. Okay.
Well, Grant's journey on his dress code, that'll be a whole story for a whole nother day.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about it someday.
Rut, have you met Grant when he only wore a Scotty vest?
No.
I should have it somewhere here. I love that thing.
It's got like 30 pockets in it, and every pocket had a reason to be there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I would offset it with a tie. I would wear a tie underneath and a button-up shirt. Well, many times. That's so funny, dude.
I remember when Grant came to me, he goes, Brittany, I just don't know. Is it time to put on a different jacket? It might be.
It might be. It might be, son. That's too funny. Well, Rut, to a topic of personal development, when times get tough, and maybe you don't have tough times anymore, but when you're lonely and you're facing challenges and times get tough, what is a phrase that keeps coming back to mind that pulls you out of it?
It says, my mind says, flip 180. Flip 180. Whatever the situation is, started thinking the complete opposite situation, the best possible situation, and trying to work.
Best possible.
Yeah, like for example, if I'm like stuck somewhere, or if I have to give a speech, or for example, if I'm about to in a meeting or whatever, like whenever in one period of time, whenever I had no money and I was trying to figure out, I always do this practice in my mind, always trying to imagine the best possible scenario that is completely opposite of that particular situation, and trying to work my way around it. Yes.
That makes me tingle.
Where did that mindset come from, Rut? Like, where did you develop that? Who's been the mentors in your life that have, to be so successful in that way?
So since I was a kid, I wasn't very smart at school. I failed every single exam after sixth grade. I'll tell you, this is true. I failed every single exam after sixth grade, and they had to push me to another. they had to push me to another grade, and then I finally got to the college, and I didn't have enough grades to get accepted in the college. So my father had to come up with some kind of money to get my admission into college, and I still didn't study. Like, I was a smart person, but I didn't want it to study at all.
I have that problem.
And because of that, I got into very bad situation many times. And
Wow.
But while I was there, just because I wasn't good at study doesn't mean I was not reading. I was reading. I was smart at the other things. So I've been like, since I was a kid, I was reading this science magazine that my mom used to purchase for me called Safari Magazine. The title says Magazine for Intelligent People. So since then I was reading that, and I read it in that book one day that they were telling the story about some people getting stuck on Himalayas mountains, and there was an avalanche, and how their mind process was. So I read that, and that kind of stuck with me since I was a kid.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Flip 180. That's a great question. Who have been some of your other mentors, or what other books just have absolutely stayed with you? What's your top recommended book?
How to Think Like Leonardo da Vinci.
Really?
The Book of Courage. Book of Courage.
Wait, slow down, bro. Hey, How to Think Like, I haven't even heard of that one.
It's a great book. And there is a biography by Walter Isaacson, Leonardo da Vinci.
I think I've read that one. I'm a big fan of Leonardo da Vinci.
Yeah.
And I think he doesn't get enough credit. He's fallen off the radar for a lot of people. So that was the first one. What was the second one about courage?
Book of Courage.
Interesting.
Book of Courage and Laws of Human Nature by
I love
Robert
the Laws
Greene.
of Human Nature. That one was really good.
Yes. So those are the book I read. I mean, I read many books, and but those are like my top. I would say that shaped me in the person I am.
Interesting. Now, okay, so quick for AI, artificial intelligence. What's the coolest thing that you're seeing going on with artificial intelligence today?
What I'm doing.
Well, of course. Roughly, what is it?
So what we do at Voyager is using drone data to analyze, process, and deliver to our clients. So when we work with energy, agriculture, and infrastructure industry. So using drones to analyze the data in real time and have it processed in real time, and that data goes to an engineer. An engineer verifies it and puts the stamps on it, and then goes to our client. So basically, if you to give you an example, power line inspection, we do a lot of them, and so because we have done thousands and thousands of power line inspection before, we have a lot of data to see what the broken cell look like, what the broken insulator look like, what corrosion look like. So we can just teach the computer, okay, this is a missing picture of a missing cotter pin. So you remember that. This is a picture of a rust, corrosion, stuff like that. And when you teach the algorithm, like with thousands and thousands of pictures, it recognized whenever it sees the next time, it kind of recognized. So that's what we're doing. So how it used to be done, power line inspection, like people would drive in their bucket truck, go up there, check everything, note everything. How it's done now is just drone analyzing, automatically flying, analyzing, and in real time, it collecting all the data, generating a report. And when you
at a
crazy high speed, like live streaming in whole another way. And you can live stream to like another country. It's over the web, so you can have it wherever you want it to be, analyzing in real time. For example, give you another example. Traffic studies. There are like 700 people die like each year just by pedestrian accident. So using drone to just hover over the intersection or around the intersection, and kind of seeing the whole picture, and have the AI analyzing real time how often people brake, how fast they accelerate, how often they change the lane, how dangerously they're driving. So with that data, we can make changes in our infrastructure or the driving structure we have, and save many lives with that.
Wow.
That's crazy. Now, we talked, I want to say about a month ago, or a few weeks ago, and your vision used to be like hardcore billion-dollar industry, satellites, the whole deal. And then we were talking about this one day, and you said, my whole vision's changed. And we have not spent time with that.
Yes.
How has your vision changed?
So when I came to America, I basically came with like no money, not a penny, nothing. So the whole goal was to, and the state of mind was to, I have this opportunity, and I started making money, and I'm like, make a lot of money and grow my business the level that no one can ever compete. But I was in California, you know, things happened. I was in California working with this utility company, and we go out there inspecting power line like every day. But we went to the city, Paradise City, and that's when the fire happened.
Yeah.
And I got out my truck, and I see, I put my feet down, and it just whole sinks into like ground, because it's all ash, nothing else. Like,
wow,
it's crazy. And that's when I started realizing, I started seeing burned houses, the entire city's burned, a lot of people that, like, it's crazy situation that you see.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that. Nothing happened that time. I was thinking about that, always thinking about that. And at the end of the project, we totally, in the whole 9-month of period, spending time in California, working with the whole team, we prevented 11 fires. And I kind of, yes, 11 fires. And that's when I realized the work I do have a lot of power.
Yes.
And it could possibly do a lot of change for good. And if we can prevent one fire, it would, if we can save one life with prevented fire, it's still worth it, you know?
Yeah.
So doing that kind of work, when I came back to Catapult and had an office and started, now I hired somebody.
Yeah.
So just thinking about that, I'm like, okay, I need to change something. This is not like, this is very good, I'm making money, but this is not like, it's, I could do much better to fulfill myself. So
yes,
my mission changed, and now it's, instead of making money, now it's creating solutions that protect our planet and serve our communities.
So this is a new mission statement, right?
This is a new mission statement. Yes.
Hit me with it again.
Creating solutions that protect our planet and serve our communities. That's why I work in energy, agriculture, and infrastructure. That's where the human use the most their time.
Now, did you notice any change in sales or productivity?
Not necessarily in change, because it's still new and still trying to figure out. But the thing I have, the change I have felt when I talk to people, it's more likely they can connect with my company instead of just like telling them, oh, I just fly drones and inspect power line. They don't care about that. People want to. So that have changed. And also what I do, I have become a lot more optimistic just by writing that statement, because it pushes me to wake up every morning and like, okay, you have to create solution that protect our planet, because that's your mission. You told the world now what you like. So that has, what I have seen change.
And that internal change that's now like driving you to just going.
Yes, and it kind of like make a decision for me. I don't have to like tell myself like,
you don't have a choice.
I don't have to. I don't have choice. I don't have plan B. This is plan A. So that's
Wow. So that's interesting to hear. So when you say that, like the tactical vision change from this billion-dollar industry, you just mean your compass changed. You don't care if you become a billion-dollar company or not doing this, but the mission changed. Maybe not the vision per se, but the mission and the focus. Really. And inside of you, you wake up with more purpose now.
Yes. And when I started my business, I was 22-year-old that time. You know, when you 22, when you don't have money, it's all about making money.
Yeah.
But I'm very fortunate.
What'd you say, Brittany?
It's not a bad first goal. Like when you're young and you are trying to drive somewhere and go somewhere, having money as your goal is definitely not a bad thing.
Yes.
It only takes you so far before you need something else that's more fulfilling to wake you up every day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and that makes me think of like church. So you guys might not know, but I was raised in the church. Oh, Brittany knows, but I was raised in the church, Christian church. And I think it's good. It served me really well at a very formative time in my life. And then there came a point where the world's not black and white, it's gray, and we got to graduate out into nuance, you know, and mature into nuance and make sure that we're operating without black and white, I guess. And so it kind of makes me think of, yes, having a money goal is great early on because it does drive you. You know, believing it, like the church pillar, believing you're doing things for God is really, that drives you when you wouldn't normally do things. But then when you grow up and you're like, no, I should just do these things because they're good to do. I don't need, you know, necessarily a lot of that to drive me. The same with money. Go ahead, Brittany.
I think at some point you just recognize that money is going to be the byproduct of that anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Or it's going to turn to ash. Which is
Absolutely.
what Rut learned, man. Well, real quick, I'm very intrigued on words, and I wanted to ask you: is there any word or concept? What city were you in India?
Mehsana. It was Mehsana, Gujarat. So it's not a big town. It's very small town. We didn't have internet until like I was in 11th grade.
Wow.
So it's like that kind of.
Now, did you guys speak mainly Hindi or another dialect?
Gujarati. We spoke Gujarati. Yeah, my English is better than my Hindi.
That's all right. So has there ever been a time when you wish Americans would know a word or concept from Gujarati?
I don't ever wish that they do, but I always try to teach my friends. The one word I used to tell to address all my friends is called dost, and it's dost, D-O-S-T. It means friend, and all my friends just call me dost because I just call them that, and that's a Gujarati word.
Yeah,
and so that kind of make me feel like I'm at home.
Dost, okay, that's my new word for you, man.
Okay,
I love that. Yeah, I just know that sometimes there's words in languages that open up new concepts, and sometimes
don't fully translate to us, but you know, can bring
Yeah. So dost, I like that, man. That carries with it a kind of idea. So question, and this is kind of out of left field. Do you have any sort of spiritual life?
I'm still trying to figure that out right now.
Sure. Yeah. I'm always curious about how everyone's internal life is. How do you find balance when it gets crazy out there? You have your flip 180 when it's challenging, but like when the world is just chaotic, what do you do?
So this is my routine every morning. Right before I come to Catapult, go take a walk on that Lake Mirror, and I love that. And I take like so many walks, like when I'm at work. So just when the world gets chaotic, I start writing down. I started writing down and trying to strategize, and that's kind of how I try to do it, like trying to analyze the situation, because that's what I have learned since I was like a kid, and trying to make because where I grew up, no one understood what I understood in technology. And so they were like always come to me, and I had to maintain their reputation. So I had to figure out and how even though there is a lot of pressure, I just try to be by myself or maybe take a walk or something. I'm big on walks. I love taking walks and things.
Fantastic advice. I mean, when you feel like your world is caving in on you and your space is getting very small, if you go outside and start looking at the horizon, looking at the big trees, looking at the big buildings that are out away from you, you know, that's going to extrovert you. It's going to give you some space. It's going to expand that space that was shrinking in on you before that. So it's fantastic advice.
Yeah, it's weird because like, I don't know if you've had this, either of you, but like when you're really facing like confusion and chaos, we have a tendency, especially in our entrepreneur culture in America, maybe worldwide, you have this idea to just like tackle it. You want to just continue until you break through. And that is good sometimes, right? But other times, to Brittany's point, you actually just need perspective. And just with a little perspective, it might not even be a worthy problem to tackle. You might even just let it pass you by. Like, okay, that's not an issue I'm going to deal with. I don't, you know,
Yeah.
so perspective, that's a really good reminder. Marissa just jumped on. She's like, yeah, take a walk. For the Brittany knows.
Support that.
Yeah. Rut may or may not know, but Marissa just walked with a bunch of girls 87 miles in Arizona, and she's constantly hiking and walking. That's her jam. So
walks are amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Did you you left India, you said at 19?
19, yes.
Are Indians like, this is a weird question. In India, are Indians like outdoorsy overnight camping people?
No, really.
I know it's a stupid question. Don't laugh, Brittany, but like,
there are a lot of Indians who do that, but not really. Mostly, no. Because I'll tell you a reason why. Because we have 1 billion more people than here in 3 times smaller the space. So
where are we gonna go?
It's like camping, Grant. Anyway.
Well, we do camp in the summertime because I'll tell you a story. When I was a kid, we didn't have AC at the house. So in summer, it gets super hot. So we sleep outside the house.
Yeah.
So that's how we camp, like outside the house. So
it's
I think, most of the Indians are outdoorsy when it comes to like heat at night. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Indian Americans, of course, like people like you who've been here and you start traveling and seeing things. It's like, okay, I could see this. But yeah, I never picture Indians in India like, let's go backpacking. You know, it's like, it's not a stereotype you pick up on. What was the number one stereotype that surprised you about Americans or American entrepreneurship?
Well, see, when I came to America, I had a lot of misconception because that's what you see in TV. Like every building's tall, every car is fast, and all the people are celebrities. So when I came here, landed here, that became very clear very quickly. So
that is not the case. They don't all look like this.
And that's what surprised me. But people have been good. Like before I came to America, people told me like, oh, you don't know English, but you will be fine in America. They will even help you. And that was the one thing that I really like. And even though I didn't speak English, no one ever made fun of me because of that. And everyone tried to help me. So
that's good to hear, man. Like I feel bad because too often you hear these horror stories of I came to America, people were racist to me. Now, an Indian experience is far different than an African American experience, depending on where in the country you are, I assume. But it is. I'm grateful to hear that because I know Americans do have a culture, and I didn't know that until I started moving abroad and living abroad and traveling. You don't realize Americans do have a culture. And it is more welcoming than you would assume.
For sure.
Like all of us, especially today in 2021, like I think everyone knows that everyone is from somewhere else at this point.
Yeah.
You know, it might have been different like in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, but today it's like, no, everyone is from somewhere else. And you never know who you're helping will come around one day and help you, you know? What is Jared Yates? Jared Yates came in here and said this, one trip to Walmart. I don't even know what that means. Maybe Sing America. I don't even know what he's talking about. Anyways, so parting thoughts, like what's your advice to other entrepreneurs who might not be as far along as you are?
Well, I would say strategize. First trying to figure out what you really want to do. Maybe try to find your purpose. That's like a very tough question.
That's what I was gonna say. How?
That's a big order, man.
How,
yes.
Really?
Well, how you do that? It's continuously asking yourself, what do you want to do, and that's how you find a purpose. Or maybe do what you love doing and make that purpose of your life. Turn your passion into purpose. I don't know how to answer that question, how to find your purpose, but I think we all are trying to figure out, but at least have a goal, some kind of goal where you're going, and have a big vision. Vision is the art of seeing the invisible. And if you have a big vision, picture become a lot clearer, even if it's non-existent. And I would say after vision, I would say be really good at strategizing stuff. Map it out before you blap it out. Before you do anything, trying to analyze that situation so you don't make any stupid decision later on. So that's kind of the advice I would give.
Do you have any specific tools, Rut, that you're doing for strategizing and mapping things out?
Yes. I have pen and paper.
What a jerk. No,
Pen
I
and
mean,
paper.
but it's a good question, because I think when people hear the word strategy, they're super intimidated.
Yeah.
So how detailed is when you strategize, like, what does that look like? I'm going to be a badass. Like,
Sure. So how I strategize, for example, if I have to approach a new company, for example, after receiving that grant from Catapult, I purchased a gas detector, but now I have to go and sell that services. So when I strategize for it, I make everything a strategy. Like, okay, I have to sell it. I have to sell the service. So how do I strategize? What are the companies? So I start doing research on that company. But when I say research, I research their people, what they think like, how much, how do they spend money? What kind of people are they? Are they kind of people who prevent things from happening, or are they kind of people who are react to the things that happen? And trying to.
Are you just doing that on Facebook and LinkedIn?
Facebook
like, how do
and LinkedIn, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, on the internet, and also I like meet with people and I ask people, how's your boss? How's your employee? How's this? I take them on lunch. I try to read their financial report for last 10 years and blogs they have read. I try to do everything possible and write it down and trying to create a map, a 3-point map, three-point map. The top 3 are the most what I see from that company. How are they spending their money? What their philosophies for the company, and what kind of people are they?
Interesting.
So that's how I kind
takes
of
a lot of
strategize.
time.
It does.
How do you find that time when you've also got to fulfill your contracts? Are you hiring that out?
Yes, I used to fly drones. Now I try not to fly drones as possible, because I get to do all this kind of stuff now, which is much more valuable than flying a drone. So I can always hire that.
Do you have employees or contractors?
I have all contractors, but I am hiring a full-time business development manager in like a week or 2. Wow. I have already interviewed a bunch of people, but just gonna go ahead and hire you.
Wow, that's it.
Delegate.
It's my favorite part about a business is when you start expanding by having employees. Just because I've watched how Adam has grown with Spark Bookkeeping. Before employees and after employees, you become a whole different type of manager, a whole different type of business owner. It changes everything. When you have other people that rely on payroll being ran, or that you have a mission that they understand, or when you can, pour into them some sort of purpose so that they produce at the level that you want them to produce at.
Yeah,
it's a whole different ballgame.
And it might not.
It puts a responsibility on you.
It does. It changes the responsibility, and I think there's a lot of, like, we were talking, and we'll have Chris Ann on the show here soon, someday this week or next, and we'll talk a little bit about the small business mindedness versus the business owner mindedness, and this is truly a very real paradigm mind shift that people have to make, because there's a huge growing, the IRS numbers show that there's a lot of businesses the way Rut's business looks today. One employee, maybe dozens of contractors, and it could easily be $1 million company, but it's like a solopreneurship. But you're totally right, Brittany. The paradigm, the stress is different. The strategies are different. But I think people innately know that you're going to 10x your responsibilities just by bringing on one employee. Like, you might be able to skip a meal or skip a paycheck, but your employees never will.
No.
And so that I'm interested in your journey as you hire people. And honestly, though, I think small business owners are procrastinating hiring because they know they'll have to level up. Yes. I think they're avoiding it.
Yeah, that was the case for me too for a little bit, but I'm glad I quickly realized that and try not to do that. Yes.
Yeah, man. And once you start interviews, like you kind of burn your ships in that. Like, I've got to follow through with this.
Yes.
And then comes the next level of, actually, Brittany, to your point, another thing that shifts is you burn your bridges on your ability to cop out.
Yes.
Yes.
Because when you have an employee, you have got to go make a sale.
You've got to deliver.
Yeah. And you realize, oh, wait, this employee costs like 3 times more than I thought it cost to have an employee, because now I've got to train them. So now that you're training them, you're not selling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you're like, wait, what about my systems? So now I got to capture my systems, you know, and now maybe you can hire someone really talented out of the gate. And I think Adam and I made the opposite decisions here. Adam hired really highly skilled people out of the gate, and I hired newbies out of the gate. And they're good people, but those both approaches have different challenges. So Rut, in your case, did you hire someone who was already skilled?
Yes.
Okay.
I hired someone who's a master of psychology, and she has a degree in business management, and very
interesting,
very strong, intelligent woman, I think, who can help me, can take over 80% of my work. And I'm looking forward for that, actually.
Yay.
Interesting.
Very excited.
Well, congratulations.
I'm
That's
so
a
happy
huge
for you,
win.
Rut.
Yeah, man. Well, let's wrap up and let everyone get about their day. Guys, thank you for being here. This has been awesome, Rut. Like, it's been awesome getting to know more about kind of what's going on in your mind, man. If for those who are watching or watching this later, even, you can check out Rut's website, Voyager for industries.com. And that's kind of where you can see his life's passion right now. Hit us with that mission statement one more time.
Creating solutions that protect our planet and serve our communities.
Boom. And to celebrate that, I've got a little drone there, right? For
Awesome.
for Rut. And Brittany, so you didn't feel left out. I also got one there for you as well. Boss gal. Well, thanks for the time, guys. Hey, and for those watching, if you guys need any support, any help at all, you guys know you can just visit us and continue the conversation at the Goals and Gratitude Group. Thanks for being here, guys. Stick around while we close out the stream. And for those of you out there starting your day, remember to ignite your life of explosive significance. Have a great